Hello and welcome to another video and podcast from Fantasy Football Scout. My name is Joe and today I'm joined by Mark, aka the FPL General, who will be revealing his Game Week 4 early thoughts. Welcome, Mark. How are you?
I'm very well, Joe. I hope you're doing well yourself. First international break already. Can't believe it. They should be banned after a summer tournament, but here we are.
Yes.
Always a frustrating time, FPL wise, but also a time to take stock. So plenty to discuss as usual.
Yes, it is good. It's good to have a 2 week break. I've just come back from a week away, so I'm that thing where you go on holiday and you sort of forget what day it is. But I've been keeping up to date with a few podcasts, including yours. So I've got a vague understanding of what's been going on, and I've already made some transfers. Ooh, but I'll reveal all next week in my video. This is all about you. Before we go on, having a look, what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at see how Mark got on Game Week 3. At the end, we'll look at his Game Week 4 team reveal as it is now. We'll look at it again next week, but as it is now. We'll also look at some midfielders to look at, defenders as well, and of course, most importantly, the fixtures at the moment, because you have to look at the fixtures in order to juggle, particularly all those heavy hitters. Lots of debate about which heavy hitters to go for. The answer is all of them, but you can't have them all. Do have a look at the members area at Fantasy Football Scout. A lot of the stats and the season ticker we've all got from those members areas there. Also, do press that like button. It does help us out. Do subscribe as well. And do leave some comments, but as long as they're favourable. And if you're going to make an unfavourable comment, just don't bother. Just move away from the computer. Mark, let's have a look at how you did in Game Week 3. Do you want to take us through your team? I've got it on the screen and it shows a big number 81 and also your 392k in the rankings. So a good week.
Yeah, it's been a pretty steady start to the season. Obviously, the triple captain went well, Game Week 2, and then I was just kind of hoping to have another steady week. Not used any transfers yet, so I've got 3 frees for after the break, which we'll talk about later as well. But yeah, overall, pretty good start to the season. I usually don't start well, so it feels good to be around 400k. It seems like a good platform to build on. Just for the audio listeners as well, I'll read through the team. Henderson in goal with a 4-pointer, which was very welcome after his disastrous first few weeks. Conso blanked against Leicester. Porro blanked as well. Picked up a yellow card, I think. Gabriel blanked also, so not much from defence. Patience rewarded with Eze with his 10-pointer. Saka with 6. Bruno blanks, as he usually does. He might have to go. Jota with 3. No Salah, of course, so wasn't an enjoyable watch as a Manchester United fan and non-Salah owner. João Pedro, great to see him score again, even if it did wipe out the Gabriel clean sheet. Isak, patience rewarded as well with a 9-pointer. And Captain Haaland for 34. Nothing on the bench. Valdemarson, who I did start, but Henderson subbed in as expected. Munoz, Harwood Bellis, and Sangare.
Just Pedro Porro, I believe he got 1 point, so he didn't get booked. It was because they conceded 2 goals.
That's what it is.
So that was that. Definitely patience rewarded with Eze and Isak as well. In the Goals Imminent podcast I do with the other Mark Jobling, we've been flagging up these potential of scoring for Eze, and very much keep Eze if you got him. And not so much with Isak. He wasn't really showing under the underlying stats. So, but patience rewarded there. He's the main striker for Newcastle. But Fernandes was the other one as well that is posting good underlying stats. But Manchester United fans aren't so happy. There's people don't like the performances from the team, obviously, and it's just a general feeling that Bruno Fernandes, especially what you're indicating there, is for the chopping block, because I imagine Salah is the key player that you want to get in within your 3 transfers.
Yeah, I mean it's deja vu with Bruno this time last year. It was the same. I think it was him and Rashford at this point doing nothing, and I probably kept both of them too long last year. There's key assets that I don't own. Salah number 1, and I still really like Cole Palmer as well in midfield. So Eddie's going to stay. Quite happy to keep Jota at a good price while he's getting starts. Saka maybe can go short term with fixtures and maybe backer in Game Week 6, but Bruno's definitely the one I'm looking at, that I can turn him into a more premium asset like a Salah or a Cole Palmer. So even though Southampton is next for Bruno, which looks great on
Hmm.
paper. I don't think that will be enough for him to survive. I don't want to fall into the trap of keeping him too long. When he's blanked in 3 games, he is a weak link. As much as he can get points, I don't want to wait forever for them to come. And even if they do come when I sell him, as long as the player I get in is delivering, I'm not going to, worry too much about losing him. So, yeah, Bruno definitely the one on the chopping
Okay.
block in this starting 11.
And because you haven't used any transfers left, I'm presuming there's nothing in the bank here. You just went for the 100 million budget first off.
Yeah, nothing in the bank. So it's a tricky one because it's a the new FPL. It's throws up new questions and new dilemmas. 3 free transfers versus wildcard game week
Mm.
4, because of course we can still have the free transfers afterwards as well. So I was before game week 3 happened, I was very open to activating the wildcard on
Mm.
Saturday night, just kind of depending on how things went. A couple of things happened. Joe Pedro got good minutes again and scored. Watkins got another 60-minute
Mm.
appearance. Palmer didn't do a huge amount. So I've decided not to wildcard for game week
Mm.
4. And I think with the 3 free transfers, I can get by. And it's quite flexible to get one premium midfielder in that Bruno spot somehow. So yeah, I think a lot of people kind of earmarked game week 6 as a wild card since the start of the season.
Mm.
And I'm kind of leaning that way now as well, the
Yeah.
way things have gone.
Yeah, I'm in that camp as well. I'm looking at the moves I've already made for targeting game weeks 4 and 5, and we'll put the fixtures up in a sec. And then it's game week 6 is well, it's also game week 7 as well, because Man City's fixtures dramatically improved from game week 7. But yeah, game week 6 you've got Brentford and Arsenal in particular. Do their fixtures become really good? They've really good run there. And Brighton, who's got, well, we'll show in a sec, got really great game weeks 4 and 5 fixtures. Suddenly their fixtures fall off an East Sussex cliff there. So yeah, not so keen on Brighton post game week 5. But then I think it's game week 12 or so. I'm suddenly interested in them again. Obviously, as a Brighton fan, I'm interested in them all week anyway. Yeah, should we put these fixtures up for game weeks 4 and 5? So if you're very much thinking about game week 6. So for these transfers that you've got at the moment, I went into this with 2. Lots of people were like that. Some only 1. Some like you with 3, taking advantage of this new freedom we have to use transfers. So here's game weeks 4 and 5. And I'll just read some of the key teams out there, and I'll go to you, Mark, about your thoughts as well. But just for the benefit of those listening to the podcast, game weeks 4 and 5, you're just targeting the next 2 fixtures. Brighton are top. They've got Ipswich and Nottingham Forest at home. It doesn't get better. Ipswich second. They got Brighton away and Southampton away. Could be attacking returns there. I don't quite fancy an Ipswich defender myself. Crystal Palace, 2 good home fixtures, Leicester and Manchester United. I think Crystal Palace fans will be hoping that Manchester United do not improve by then. Southampton themselves have Manchester United at home, Ipswich at home. Could be revival of fortunes for some of their assets there, or sitting on our benches. Aston Villa's good run continues. Everton and Wolves at home. Liverpool, this is great. There's so many with 2 home games in a row. Liverpool, Nottingham Forest at home, and then Bournemouth at home. Great fixtures. Chelsea's good run continues away, but Bournemouth away, West Ham away. And West Ham and Fulham, itself. They've got West Ham and Newcastle at home. So 2 home games, not the easiest home games, but 2 home games. Meanwhile, Brentford, Arsenal, Bournemouth, Tottenham, Nottingham Forest, and to a lesser extent Man City, because they got the Arsenal game in game week 5, have got poor fixtures. So there's quite a lot going on here. So what were your sort of immediate thoughts here?
Yeah, when you just look at game week 4 and 5, and you think about my team, which we just showed there, that it just reinforces for me that game week 6 is a very natural time for me to wildcard. Brighton are top of the ticker for the next 2 game weeks, so quite happy to keep Joe Pedro for the 2 home ones, and then maybe lose him on the wild card. Ipswich not really interested. Crystal Palace, I've got a triple up, so good to see 2 home games there, and then we'll look to divest from those. Maybe just keep Eze and lose the 2 defensive assets. Aston Villa as well. I don't own Morgan Rogers, and even though he's blanked in all 3 games, I'm still very interested as an enabler to do other stuff with premiums. Still think Watkins is a good pick as well, despite the 60 minutes, but I'm probably going to prioritise Salah or Cole Palmer over Watkins at this stage. Liverpool's the big one for me here because I've only got Jota, and I felt very vulnerable watching the United game with just Jota, especially when Trent scored and Salah assisted and it was ruled out. It was not a good feeling for a couple of minutes, and thankfully VAR saved me there. I don't want to go into Forest and Bournemouth with just Jota, so I want at least one of Trent, if not him and Salah. And then going down further, Arsenal are near the bottom of the ticker, so I feel like with 3 free transfers, I could take the opportunity to maybe lose a Saka and Gabriel, and then wildcard them back in game week 6. Brentford are bottom of the ticker, but I'd like Mbumo for game week 6 as well. Tottenham don't have any, just Porro, and then Man City as well. I've only got Haaland, so maybe come game week 6 after the Arsenal game, I'll get more of those as well. So I just think the swings suit my current setup, and I think most people are probably in a similar boat.
Yeah, I think so as well, because I mean you've got this divergence between those with Haaland, those with Salah, and those with both. And the thing is, every single one of those teams is a winner and a loser at the same time, because there's pluses and minuses. If you've got Haaland and Salah, great. You've got two players that are brilliant. You've got captaincy every week, and they've matched each other. They've got 80. I think it's 82 points between them. Sorry, not each. Hang on, 41, 42,
41 each.
Yeah, 41 each. 82 points between them. I'm thinking if you captain one. So yeah. Loads of points there. So you won, but then you might be missing out on some of those other players. Meanwhile, if you've got Haaland only, you've got the opportunity to get a few more, but you're missing out on Salah. And if you've got Salah, you're missing out on Haaland. So this weekend, if you're in the Salah camp, the Haaland hat-trick, absolute like a bullet through the chest. And then the next day, brilliant, you're back up again. So, I mean, I went from 700k in the rankings to 400k post Haaland. And then post Salah, I'm down to 1.2 million. So that's the difference there. But there's really only about 10 points in it, compared to where I could have been in the ranks, around about 500,000 or so. But that shows how close it is. But it also shows that I think this game weeks 4 and 5, I think you could possibly do without Haaland. You can't do without Salah. And ideally, I think just have both, because Haaland's price is going up. But what do you think on the Salah, Haaland, both debate at the moment?
Yeah, I think it's easier if you still have a wild card left, because you can restructure again. I still, long term, don't really like having both. I still don't like the corners you have to cut out. 6. I know it's early to say, and if I wildcard game week 6, then I think I'll be obviously building drafts with both and building drafts with just one. And I usually do favor, spreading the cash around and having just one of the premiums. It's probably Haaland long term, the way he started the season. I know Salah has the same points, but I still trust Haaland more when it comes to armband and stuff like that. So I don't think I'll lose him. But yeah, things can change before then. So, but again, thinking about the next two, when they're both delivering so much, and especially when Salah now has the fixtures, I think if you don't have Salah, he's got to be the priority. Just bring him in, even if you have Haaland already. So yeah, I think like I said, it's easier if you have a wild card. You just get them both and then worry about it whenever the wild card comes.
Yeah, that's the way I'm thinking about it as a Haaland owner, but not a Salah owner. Well, now I'm a both owner, but is that I don't feel comfortable having both of them long term at all. I just look at the rest of the team, but it's okay when you've got teams like Brighton and Ipswich and Southampton, those peripheral players you can rely on a bit because they've got better fixtures. But yeah, I wouldn't want that. So, well, it's a good time to have a look at game week 6 onwards fixtures. So this is when you might be wild carding. And this shows a complete turnaround from what we've just seen. Brighton are bottom. They've gone from top to bottom. They got Chelsea, Tottenham, Newcastle, Wolves, Liverpool, Man City. Just one good fixture until from game week 6 to game week 11. Newcastle pretty poor as well, so they're going to be in a lot of teams. Gordon, Isak, a Newcastle defender, they're in the team. So time to get rid of them. Perhaps they've got City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Brighton, and Nottingham Forest and Everton as well. So a couple of good games there. Meanwhile, at the top, Everton are top, so it could be, if there's a reversal of fortunes for them, they've got a great run. Crystal Palace, Newcastle at home, Ipswich away, Fulham at home, Southampton away, West Ham away, Brentford, this you're talking about Mbomo, Vissa as well. I'm probably getting both maybe for this run. West Ham, Wolves at home, Manchester United away, Ipswich at home, Fulham away, Bournemouth at home. That's a double up time, I think. West Ham, good fixtures. Souček was a player I got my eye on, but he was dropped last weekend because I was hoping he'd be used. But anyway, Brentford, Ipswich, Nottingham Forest, Everton amongst their next fixtures. Tottenham's fixtures improve a bit as well. Man City's, this is the key one probably. So I'll stop here going on and go back over to you in a sec, Mark. Man City's fixtures, game week 6, they've got Newcastle. So you can have Haaland, but it's not necessary. But game week 7 onwards, get Haaland. Fulham at home, Wolves away, Southampton at home, Bournemouth away, Brighton away. Great run of fixtures. Game week 6 for your team and my team as well just seems to make sense for a wild card.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at I'm kind of comparing Man City and Liverpool fixtures there with Haaland versus Salah in mind. Game week 7 onwards, like you said, City, it's Fulham, Wolves, Southampton, and Salah's got Crystal Palace away, Chelsea, and then Arsenal away, and even Brighton and Villa after that. So I'm already talking myself into Haaland is the one who stays on the wildcard game week 6, but of course we'll cross that bridge when it comes. But yeah, again, fixtures dictate everything I do, and there's 19 teams in this ticker because even if Everton are at the top, I am not going there at the moment. I like what you said about the double up on Bumo and Wissa because almost everyone will get in Bumo game week 6 if they're not there already. So to benefit greatly from Brentford goals, you probably want to have Wissa as well. I look at Brighton there at the bottom of the ticker, so replacing João Pedro with Wissa just makes sense. And even though João Pedro has got me points, I haven't been overly happy with watching him positions he's taken up. So he's doing a lot for the team. He's going wide, he's going deep. So I don't mind losing him, even though he is probably a penalty taker as well. So I'll happily take the points from João Pedro and then probably run to someone else with better fixtures. Elsewhere, Tottenham as well. Solanke probably comes back into our thoughts in the near future as well. Man City's the big one, of course. Just Haaland, Gvardiol is someone I would like to own. Maybe a midfielder at that point. If Savinho, if he keeps getting game time, is an interesting differential. And yeah, bottom of the ticker, Newcastle are down there. Big question will be: does Isak stay? Is he fixture proof? He might be. Chelsea are down there. So yeah, it's again, like I said, both tickers we've looked at, everything is like loads of arrows just pointing to me saying game week 6 wildcard.
It's worth noting for those who are sticking with Saka, for example, or sticking with their Arsenal assets, because they've only really got a couple of fixtures that are hard, and of course they're Arsenal as well, and the Tottenham game they could easily do well. So if you're sticking with them but don't have Haaland, this was something I was looking earlier at, but if you are in that situation, game week 7 is the week to wildcard, I would say, because that's when you can tap into getting Haaland in as well. But you do miss out on and you've still got those great Arsenal assets for game week 6 as well. And so game week 7 could be a time to wildcard for certain people, for certain makeup of their teams. But like you, I'm keen to get Salah. For me and you, it looks like it's the Arsenal lads are gonna dip out for that.
Yeah, and I think just important to finish on this as well. We're both very much leaning towards game week 6, but we're very much basing that on our teams as well. There's a lot of teams out there where game week 4 wild card will make more sense, maybe even a game week 5. So don't just blindly go to 6 because you might hear a few people saying that this week. Yeah. So make sure it's right for your team. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, definitely. It was one of those. I mean, everyone knows. I mean, I before I wildcards, and you probably do the similar thing, I always sort of stress test my team. I look at my team and think, do I need to wildcard? And I looked at my team and I thought, no, I've got a couple of transfers. That'll do me. That'll get me the key players I want in. It'd be nice to have more. And you've got 3 transfers, so you can get more in. So I would imagine, if I was looking at that with 3 transfers, we can, of course, hold them as well. So it's perfectly reasonable to wildcard depending on the team on game week 4, because you come out of that with building up more transfers, because presumably you won't want to transfer in game week 5 because you can keep building up like these 4 transfers for free, which would be amazing.
I think it's worth noting as well. I was quite surprised last week. I had a lot of communication with people who didn't know about the new rule. So just to emphasize, when you do wildcard this year, you carry your free transfers through. So me, for example, I've got 3 at the moment. If I wildcarded in game week 4, I would have 3 free transfers for game week 5. So just to stress that as well.
Yeah, definitely. Let's have a look at defenders next. So amongst the changes you're looking at, Gabriel, 6 million, you can free up some money there, or you can spend more maybe get an Alexander-Arnold. So let's have a look at some defenders. What I've done here is I've just basically looked at the best ones for the next two, really. So I've gone down. I've got a members table in Fantasy Football Scout called Attacking Defenders, and it's sorted by minutes per expected goal involvement. It's got some other stats like chances created, shots inside the box. I went down the list basically of the top ones, but only selected those with two good fixtures or two reasonable fixtures. Next one. So, for example, Gvardiol, I didn't include, didn't even look to see what his stats were because he's got Arsenal in there. So I not really interested in that. So top of the list, absolutely no surprise here is Alexander-Arnold. 7 million, had one shot inside the box, created 7 chances. We only had 3 games. His minutes per expected goal involvement every 131 minutes. So getting on for nearly a goal and a game and extra time. But he has been being subbed off at every 70 minutes or so, 75 minutes. Taken 8 corners, started all 3 of them, but subbed off under 80 minutes. He has won a couple of fouls, and it's Nottingham Forest and Bournemouth at home. I don't have him. I'm not going to get him, but I probably might get him in game week 5. But I'm going to miss out game week 4. If I were you, and you don't have him, get him in.
Yeah, I was sitting in. I was at the Celtic game on Sunday, and I went into the pub after, and I caught the first half of Liverpool, and I was sitting with McGuinness, and I was watching Trent score and celebrating, and I just sent a shiver down me. I said, I am not going into another game week without this guy.
Yeah.
So I think with 3 free transfers, with 2 fantastic fixtures coming up, I will 100% be getting Trent as long as there's no injuries or anything like that during an international break. So Gabriel is the one I'll lose because it's the easiest to jump up from. He's my most expensive defender currently, so I'll probably just keep Pedro Porro and get rid of Gabriel because Gabriel has 2 tough fixtures where I'm not massively keen on clean sheet potential there. And then wildcard game week 6, Gabriel could very much come back in or switch to Gabriel, Saliba, or maybe David Raya, or maybe a double up. So yeah, Trent. There's other names on this list as well that I do like, which we will talk about because there's one scenario that I'm looking at that maybe I won't be able to afford Trent. But Trent's the one I want for sure.
Yeah, and that next name is Robertson. He's next on this list. His minutes per expected goal involvement, not as good as Alexander-Arnold. It's every 339 minutes. Still pretty good for a defender. Created 5 chances, taken 12 corners. As well. He's had a couple of shots inside the box, and of course the same fixtures: Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth at home. Basically, I think I've got enough to do Gabriel to Alexander-Arnold. I think, even with lots of price changes in game week 5. But if I didn't, I would go for Robertson. But just one of these two. I mean, the fixtures are great, and I'd be happy to carry them. If I wasn't wildcard in game week 6, I'd be happy to carry them as well.
Yeah, 3 clean sheets out of 3 is very impressive under the new manager. Robertson, I feel like we've got our old Robertson back. He's looked a lot sharper, a lot fresher, back to his old self in the first couple of game weeks. So that makes me interested. If you're in a scenario like me, where I think what it might come down to for me is Trent and Cole Palmer, or Robertson and Salah. And I don't think that's an easy call because I really want Trent and I don't really want to compromise. But then I think Salah is the priority. Trent and Salah are my priorities. But there's a world where I might not be able to get both of them. So that's going to be something I'll mull over for the international break. And if I need to go Robertson over Trent, I've been encouraged by what I've seen so far. The fixtures are there. He's taking more corners than Trent, which is nice as well. And I'm not concerned short term about rotation. Maybe when Europe kicks in, maybe more so. But yeah, Robertson. If I want Salah, I might need to go Robertson over Trent, and I think that feels okay.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Europe as well, so I mean that is one of 2 big changes for Liverpool, I would say, this season. One is obviously there's the Champions League is different this season. There's more matches. There's more threat of rotation as we go. We don't know how that's going to affect the teams from game week 4. I believe they've got a European fixture a few days after this match against Nottingham Forest, I think. And so there are options as well. Bradley could come in, for example. But the other big change is with, I mean, I can't remember who was it. Was it on Five Live or was it you or someone? Someone in my head said to me, basically, Klopp. If Klopp was rock and roll, Slot is classical music, and that is the way it's been. So Klopp's teams. I mean, how many times did we think, oh, we're going to get a clean sheet out of our Liverpool defender, and we didn't. But this season, they are closing those games down. Those attacking players are coming off. They're changing it around, and they are seeing games out. So if they're 3-0 up at 75 minutes, they're going to stay 3-0 up. They're not going to go for a 6-0 or but ending up as a 6-1. So that says to me a Liverpool defender is a must. And it also says to me that perhaps Alexander-Arnold and Robertson and Salah is the best three.
Yeah, I had a very quick look at a wildcard 4 draft on Saturday when I was half thinking about it, and I did have the triple up of Salah, Trent, and Robertson. I think that looks fantastic, short term and maybe long term as well. I've got Jota at the moment, but if I had a clean slate and I was wildcarding this week, then I think I would do that double defense: Trent, Robbo, Salah. That to me, that's probably the ideal triple up because Jota's been great so far. But the more the game weeks go on, the more we'll get concerned about his minutes, and hopefully we won't have too many issues with the fullbacks.
Yeah, the with the rotation issues there. So Jota is obviously going to play for Portugal. Darwin, who would replace Jota, is banned from international games for a couple of games, I think it is, because he had a fight with someone in the crowd or something. So he's going to be around. So there is that threat there that Darwin could play instead of Jota. There is also the very real threat that Diaz, who's been doing really well, got a brace. He is travelling the furthest back from South America. So that does indicate that Gakpo might get a start there. So there's a lot of threat around all of those players, really. But I don't think there is that threat around Salah. I don't think there is that threat around Alexander-Arnold and Robertson as much.
Yeah, there is threat, but definitely not as much as the attacking positions. And then you throw in Chiesa whenever he's fit. 2 weeks of an international break will do him the world of good as well to get up to sharpness. So just one more option. When people do come back late, for example, maybe that's when we'll see a Chiesa get more game time and things like that. So yeah, Jota for me was always a game week 1 punt with a very short term view. He might survive for me until the wild card in 6, but he's certainly not a mainstay.
Yeah, I think he'll survive for me. I've got other issues I want to look at, and it's no harm getting the number 9 for Liverpool and keeping him. But yeah, from game week 6 for a clean slate, and it does coincide with Liverpool's fixtures sort of stiffening a bit. Next up is Veltman and Dunk from Brighton. Brighton's fixtures: Ipswich and Nottingham Forest at home. Another great pair of home games there. It's Veltman that's really impressed. He's won 9 fouls, which is good for bonus. Obviously got a clean sheet, created a couple of chances as well, started all 3. There is competition. We do have a new right back or can play at left back from Turkey has arrived. And just to mention about a baseline bonus, the sort of the metrics they use to calculate bonus points. All of these players are doing really well with that. Alexander-Arnold, every 5 minutes he's getting a sort of a point towards his bonus. Robertson every 5.9. Veltman every 4.9, so even better. And Dunk is doing okay with that as well, every 5.3. In terms of minutes per expected goal involvement, obviously they go down. So every sort of 500 minutes or so for Veltman, every 700 minutes for Dunk. There's definite rotation issues with Veltman. I do not think so with Dunk. Dunk pretty much almost got an assist at the weekend. He passed the ball incredibly through the entire pitch. Everyone, all the players. I think it went to Minter, and then Minter shot, and then Pedro was there. I think that's where it was. But it was Dunk who was outstanding there. If it was me and I was looking at a Brighton defender, I'd be getting Dunk just for that security of starts. And I don't know what's happening with the fullbacks.
Yeah, again, good fixtures. If you're someone who needs a 4-5 for a couple of weeks, and Brighton's certainly a place to look at. He's not on the list, but I think Van Heck has been really good this season as well. I like him as a defender. So I'm with you. security of a centre back. So it's Lewis Dunk or Van Heck, and it probably would be Dunk for me as well. He's always had a bit of goal threat. So yeah, Lewis Dunk if you need a cheapie.
Yeah, in terms of minutes per expected goal involvement, Van Heck didn't appear because it just wasn't as good as Dunk. And Dunk has got four. He's created four chances there. Crystal Palace are interesting. People might be wanting to ditch their Crystal Palace defenders. I think not. I've got Henderson. I'm happy to keep him, especially for these fixtures: Leicester and Manchester United at home. Mitchell is the one who's actually the one who's better than Munoz at the moment. He's had a couple of shots inside the box, created four chances. Munoz, just the one chance he's created, but he has got an assist from it. And Mitchell marginally better in terms of fouls won. But yeah, I mean, they're not. I don't know. Maybe if you're going to wildcard in six, I wouldn't want them long term. But I think a Crystal Palace defender to bring in just for a couple of games. I think, especially at these prices, they're pretty good still. 5 million.
Yeah, I've got three of them. I certainly don't want a fourth one. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to losing a few of them, but I still don't know how to assess Palace so far this season. Good to see Henderson get 4 points, from six saves. I'm happy to start Munoz at home to Leicester, and I think the way I'm set up, I will be able to bench Munoz against Manchester United, so that feels okay to me. Again, just look at the fixtures. I know Manchester United just got whipped by Liverpool, but I still don't like seeing that fixture in there for a defender to get a clean sheet from. So I think I would sway back to Brighton with better
Yeah.
fixtures if you're looking for a cheap defender.
That's the way it should be. Move from Palace to Brighton. And with Munoz as well, it's worth noting that in terms of minutes per baseline bonus, Mitchell is better than Munoz at the moment. Every 6 minutes for Mitchell, every 8 minutes he's getting one of those metrics for Munoz. Luke Dean is the one that sends shivers of fear through fancy Premier League managers because you don't know what he's going to get. He could score. He might get a red card. But, he hasn't got a red card yet. He has started all three matches. It's 4.5, which is nice and cheap. Won a couple of fouls, created a chance, got an assist, and he's pretty strong for minutes per baseline bonus. I'm not personally going to get a Villa player myself. You've got Konza, I think, or worth certainly thinking about him. But I think if I was going at this fresh, I wouldn't be looking at Konza. I'd be looking at Luca Dean and hope you get another assist.
Yeah, it's certainly shivers when you mention Luka Dean. He's underperforming his own goals so far this season as well. There's probably not too far away. Again, I've got Konsa. I don't really feel fantastic about Villa defensively. You're not really expecting too much clean sheet wise, even though they're a very good side. Look at Dean, they still have Matson, massive competition for Look at Dean, so I just don't think it's worth going there. It's still Consa for me, maybe even Pau Torres, but Consa just feels like the obvious safe pick into that team. You're probably not going to get much more than 6 points any week from him, unless bonus because he does perform well, winning fouls and stuff like that. But yeah, I can't really get behind Villa too much at the moment.
No. Yeah, and the last name on this is Robinson. Pretty poor in terms of minutes per expected goal involvement. However, he has been involved, very heavily involved. So he's definitely worth putting in there because he's defying his underlying stats. His minutes per expected goal involvement every 1,500 minutes. But he has created 3 chances. He has got a couple of assists from that. Clearly, the expected gods don't think they were of high quality enough. It doesn't matter. He got those assists anyway. For our teams, he's in many teams. He's gone up to 4.6 as well. He's won a foul as well. West Ham and Newcastle at home, I'm happy to field him all the way through for those two. I don't know if I'm going to get a clean sheet for Newcastle. I think it's possible for West Ham. Fulham's defence has improved. They've got a lot of new recruits there. Robinson. I think I'm going to keep him on my wild card. I just think as a 4.5, I really like him, and even if they've got a poor fixture, I'm just really happy to have him on the bench. I think.
Yeah, just quite simply a great pick, great player, great pick, and like you said, I like the defensive, like Sander Berge and Anderson is only going to make them better defensively. I know Paulinho is a massive absence who's kind of irreplaceable, but good signings all the same. Again, if I was wildcarding game week 4, I think Robinson would be in. If I wildcard in game week 6, I think Robinson will also be in.
Mm.
I just think he's offers a lot of
Yeah.
attacking potential, and I'm expecting more clean sheets from Fulham now as well. So yeah, great pick at 4.6.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the fixtures from game week 6, Nottingham Forest away, great. Man City away, bench him. Aston Villa at home, could play him. Everton away, play him. Brentford at home, you can play or bench him. And then Crystal Palace away. So there's a lot of fixtures there, apart from the City one, really, where you can. I'd be very happy to play him most weeks there. So yeah, a great 4.5 asset to have on the bench and looking ahead as well. Okay, also to afford Salah, I presume you're going to need to make some midfield changes as well. So I mean, at the end of all of this, I'll ask you what your sort of preferences are at the moment, because with 3 transfers, with so much, players around there to move around, each one depending on the other. Getting Salah in means that you might need to get money from elsewhere, so it might mean that you can't get the ideal defender you want. But anyway, let's have a look at midfielders. Basically, this is a Bruno Fernandes replacement table. I've sorted by expected goal involvement. Absolute no surprise who is top. It's Salah. He's 12.6 he costs now. 3 goals, 3 starts, 10 shots inside the box, 6 on target. Not bad for being out on the wing. 5 chances created, and that's where his stock is. It's not just goals, it's those assists as well. And he's had 3 assists. For some reason, I put Opta assists on here. It should be, I meant to put total assists on the table. I sort of made the table, so I just couldn't be bothered to change it all. These are Opta assists. So basically, if you've got an assist for winning a penalty, that will not count on this particular table here. But I'll sort that out for future ones. I'll just do normal assists. Okay, yeah, brilliant. Minutes per shot every 26 minutes. Yeah, you're going to get Salah in. But what's the thinking at the moment?
Yeah, you look at it, you look at all of these numbers, you look at the fixtures, and it's just not really worth overthinking it, especially with the wild card still available. So, again, another captaincy candidate as well to go alongside Erling Haaland. Like we spoke about, if I do get Salah, I think I will have to go Robertson instead of Trent. Who's the bigger priority for me? Is it Trent or is it Salah? And it's definitely Salah. So I feel more comfortable getting a Robertson over a Salah, for example, than another Liverpool midfielder instead, and getting Trent at the back. So yeah, early days in the international break, I'm leaning towards Salah. There's probably still a 10% chance that I wildcard, but I don't think it will happen. I don't think I need to. Yes, I might miss out on 1 or 2 targets. It's Salah or Cole Palmer. Maybe there's no Trent. Watkins, I'm probably going to go with that as well. So there's still a lot of arguments for a game week 4 wildcard, and I will give it some more thought. But I am leaning towards probably Robbo, Salah, and then a cheap enabler, which I'll talk about soon.
Okay. Next on the list, in terms of expected goal involvement. So basically, Salah's goal involvement is 2.8. He's got 3 goals. Got 3 assists as well, so he's overperforming, but that's just the way it is. Diaz, expected goal involvement 2.4. He's got 3 goals and an assist, doing really well. 7 chances created, 7 shots inside the box, 4 shots of those shots on target. Started every one of those matches. I would say the only caveat there is he's coming. Traditionally, the South American players, there's just a little bit of a doubt when they come back, and there's a bit of congestion in the fixtures whether they're actually going to start that game. But yeah, I don't know. That's the only thing that would put me off. But yeah, I think he's an able deputy for Salah. I don't think he can quite be at the stage where you can say, can he cover Salah? But yeah, Diaz, it's just that Nottingham Forest game. I'm not sure he's going to start.
Diaz always seems to kind of fly under the radar in the FPL community. We know how good he is. There's always those slight concerns over minutes. A lot of people can play in his position, but there's no doubt he's been fantastic to start the season. And I really don't think there's much in it between himself and Jota. Jota's a lot more popular, but Diaz has been getting more points. So yeah, a good alternative if you can't get the Salah, I would say, because the fixtures are in his favour. But I do kind of agree on the South American travel. It's never ideal. It's not the only reason I wouldn't go there. I still think I'll go Jota over Diaz if I'm going a cheaper. Just get the central striker. But yeah, Diaz is a no for me as well.
Next name on the list is Bruno Fernandes, and I've kept, even though he's a player you're looking to remove, just to see what you're up against, what you're removing. He's created 3 chances, had 4 shots inside the box, 3 on target. His expected goal involvement expected goal involvement is 2.1, so just below Diaz and Salah. Started all matches, as you imagine, minutes per shot every 32 minutes. Got Southampton and Crystal Palace away, and he takes 9 corners. I'll be doing the Goals Imminent podcast with Mark, I guess, this week, and I anticipate him going to be top of this again. And like with Eze last week, we said, keep players like this. Same with Fernandes. But Fernandes or Salah, Salah's going to win.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. It's if I already had Salah and Trent, for example, in my team, and I had Bruno, I would just roll to 4 free transfers and keep Bruno for Southampton. But like you say, Bruno versus quite a few other players. It's not just Salah. Cole Palmer, I would prefer to have as well. There's probably a couple of others as well, maybe further down this list. Yeah, it's because of who I don't have. That's why I'll sell Bruno before a Southampton, which I wouldn't usually do. But yeah, there's bigger priorities that I just need to bring in, and Fernandes is going to be one of the cash cows to do so.
Yeah. Saka, I put Saka in the list as well. Not great fixtures, Tottenham and Man City away, but I'll put it in there because, like Fernandes, he's a player that people will be looking to remove. I certainly already have. So he's got 3 Opta, 3 assists, a goal, created 8 chances, 9 shots inside the box, 7 on target. His expected goal involvement is 2 goals expected to be involved in. Minutes per shot every 25 minutes. And he's taking 4 corners as well. He's looked great. Ordinarily, if I wasn't going to wildcard him back in really quickly, I would not get rid of Saka. I would look elsewhere to try and get Salah. But yeah, Saka, I literally waved him goodbye as I pressed the button because I really like him.
Yeah, it's not a goodbye. It's a see you later with Saka, isn't it? It's a fixtures play, and I'm probably going to sell Bruno, and I'm probably going to sell Saka as well, in order to get all this cash together for a big Salah purchase. So yeah, like I said, wildcard's still available. Get rid of Saka for 2 weeks. He's got tricky fixtures, and very likely bring him back in with some other Arsenal players, either a double up or a triple up, along with Mbeumo as well, game week 6. So that's kind of the loose plan at the moment. But Saka, always a great FPL pick. But I think jumping around premiums based on fixtures this season is the way to play the game.
I'll just briefly mention Brian Mbeumo's stats. He is next in this list. Expected goal involvement of 1.9. Created 7 chances. Scored 3 goals. 4 shots inside the box. 4 on target. But he has Man City and Tottenham away next. But yeah, him and Visser, they are what I really like is what the manager said about them, because he was at the beginning of the season, he was fielded loads of questions. Are you going to cope without Tony? Is it sad that Tony's going? And he kept saying that Brian Mbeumo and Visser had a really good partnership together before Brian Mbeumo got injured last season, and he's looking forward to seeing that continue. And it just seems like I really like good striker partnerships. The classic has always been for me Salah, Sturridge at Liverpool. That was brilliant. Get both of them in. One will always assist the other. And I think with Brian Mbeumo and Visser, I think similar there. But yeah, for midfielders, Brian Mbeumo, he's there. People aren't going to get him in, I don't think, now. But it's just keep him there in your mind for game week 6.
Yeah, I think Mbeumo has quite quickly become one of the best picks in the game. He's in the same category for me as an Eze at Crystal Palace, just a pure talisman. He's going to take everything. And when the fixtures are good, I think he's got to be in our teams. And I, like I say, I just echo what you said as well. It's always important what managers say. And I remember Frank saying exactly the same thing when Tony first got his big ban.
Yeah.
He spoke very highly of Wissa and Mbeumo at that point, and that how much faith he had in both of them. So again, the double up is certainly something I think a lot of people will be looking at from game week 6 onwards.
Next name is Son. Once again, the fixtures, people might not go there, but he's certainly a keep, maybe, but unless you want to get Salah. So if it's Son, Salah, you're thinking Salah's going to win that. But Son has created 5 chances. While Solanke's out, he's been playing up front, but that may not continue. He has scored a couple of goals. That was against a very poor Everton side. 3 shots inside the box, all 3 on target. Expected goal involvement is 1.8. and minutes per show every 52 minutes. But it's Arsenal and Brentford. So not the easiest of fixtures. North London derby, though. Yeah, I mean, it's not... Yeah, so I mean, I think if I started with Son, I'd be pretty happy. But Son, if I didn't have Salah, Son would probably make way.
I think it's just going to be very hard for Son this year to get into our teams. Haaland, Salah, Saka, Palmer,
Yeah,
Watkins, maybe even Trent. It's very hard to get all these guys, and especially when you can get the Tottenham striker for 7.5 million.
yeah.
I think it's a lot more attractive when we want the midfield spots for other teams. So Son is well down the pecking order, which makes him obviously a great differential if you want to back him. But given that I didn't go there in game week 1, it's unlikely that I'll go there anytime soon either.
Yeah. This is the player I would have got if the prices hadn't changed. I could have just afforded it if it was the original game week 1 prices. I would have got Matoma in. He's looked great. He's created 3 chances, scored and assisted, 5 shots inside the box, shots on target. I don't know if you saw the full match or the highlights of the Arsenal game, but watch out for Matoma against White. It's
noted.
It's the word nutmeg came to mind. It's pretty. Yeah. Anyway. He's good.
Keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, Matoma's really good, and I think of him against Ipswich and Nottingham Forest. If I could get him in, which I can't, I'll get him in, definitely. And if I were you, and you're looking at game weeks 4 and 5, I would have said Matoma would have been an absolute priority.
Yeah, Matoma, really like how he started the season. We know how good he is from previous FPL seasons. Again, I'm leaning towards Salah. If that changes to Cole Palmer and Trent, then I probably would be able to afford Matoma instead of Rodgers, who I'm looking at as my enabler, and that's obviously attractive as well. I think I would prefer Matoma over Rodgers for 2 weeks. So as you can see, I have some very difficult decisions to make with these 3 frees.
Those, I mean, I went it because I removed Solanke from Muniz. I mean, hasn't worked out so far, but you never know. But nevertheless, so I went into this with 2. But if I'd have gone in with 3, the world's suddenly oyster. It's almost too much for my brain to comprehend because there's so many players you can get in, and Matoma is possible. Then Palmer's
just before Palmer, we used to always say, it's the curse of having 2 frees because you've got too many options. It's a whole other level when you've got 3, never mind 4 or 5. So first time I've experienced it, and it's I've got a headache already. So 2 weeks to get that under control.
Yeah, and for 4, I don't know if I don't think I'll ever get to 5.
I think I'd have a panic attack if I got to 4.
I think I will, because it's not the same as the wild card where you press the wild card button, you just make changes, and you think, oh, maybe I'll get them in and get them out. That's it. You make that transfer. That's it. It's done. Next name Palmer. Great. I mean, not just in terms of attacking returns, but his underlying stats are unbelievable. 4 assists, 11 chances created. 11 is by far the most on this. He's 10.6 now. He has scored. He could have scored many more. Shots inside the box 2. Shots on target 3. So he's shooting from range as well. Minutes per shot every 28 minutes. Started every game. So there is rotation amongst 1,000 players that Chelsea own at the moment, and Palmer is not being rotated. Bournemouth and West Ham away. A lot of his points came from that away match against Wolves, I think it was. I mean, obviously I'd like to get Palmer in, but too many other players. But yeah, if you can get him in as well. I mean, I mentioned about Matoma, but yeah, Palmer and Salah would be quite a nice midfield.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be possible to get Palmer and Salah. It's going to be one or the other, and then that will dictate the defender. But yeah, Palmer. Look at these numbers again. I really like the 11 chances created. That jumps out to me straight away from 3 games. That's really, really, really good. Yeah, we know he's going to score goals as well. He's not really going to see any rotation. I don't think he's best player in the team by a country mile. Ticks so many boxes, and it's a great season FPL wise, but it's also a bloody frustrating season because there's so many guys I would like to own. Yeah, and again, it gets me thinking: do I just wildcard and get as many of them as I can? But I think I'm going to stick to the free transfers.
Well, that's what I thought sometimes, but you can't. Try it. Try getting Salah, Palmer, Haaland, etc.
Yeah, the wild
etc.
card doesn't give you an extra 50
No,
million, unfortunately.
it's not a magic money tree. Next name is Minter, who's in my side. I went for him from the off. Got an assist on my bench, so I have got no points from him so far, still. But yeah, he's looked great every game. Matoma's looked great. Pedro's been involved. Minter's looked great. I can't see Minter being dropped. He's first choice, I would say. Shots inside the box 4, shots on target 1, created 5 chances. He's looked great. And once again, obviously, reminder those fixtures: Ipswich and Nottingham Forest at home. Yeah, I mean, those fixtures, that says to me, Brighton attacking, double up, give it a go.
Yeah, Minte, very impressed. I'd never seen him play before he joined the Premier
Good, isn't
League.
he?
Very, very good. The thing, again, when I think about Mitoma versus Minte, I don't think it's worth paying an extra million for Mitoma, because if you have a Minte, for example, you can have a Trent over a
Yeah.
Robbo or something like that, or maybe something similar in midfield. So I don't think there's a million difference on the performances I've seen so far. And if anything, Minte could end up being the higher scorer. I think he's maybe got a few more routes to points. He's taken a few set pieces. So yeah, very impressed and very interested.
Yeah, he's also he's sort of come to Brighton as well. Not very much like, oh, I've come into the team, I'm the new guy. He's come into the guy saying, I'm the guy. Like when he was like taken off for being concussed when he wasn't concussed, he was really angry about that, being taken off. And every match, I think, he just looks like he's going to get returns. But yeah, so if you could get Minter, Alexander-Arnold and Salah, that wouldn't be bad.
Yeah, I'll need to have a quick look at that again. I do think funds will be against me on that one, which I think I'm going to be saying. We're all going to be saying all season.
Yeah.
Just a few more pounds would be nice,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's going to be hard to get them all.
Final player to mention is Rodgers. So go right the way down. He's probably the cheapest credible player to get in midfield. Costs 5.1. Now, created 5 chances, shots inside the box 2, shots on target 1, expected goal involvement just under 1, really. So yeah, not as good as Minte, but he's cheaper. So there we go. But so Everton and Wolves at home. I think if you need an enabler to get Salah, I mean, yeah, Rodgers looks good, but Rodgers, I think people are like building him up to the point where it's like Rodgers is the main one to get, or maybe Salah will be the enabler to get Rodgers in, and it's not the case of that. Rodgers is what he is. He's a cheap midfielder. You might get some attacking returns. You haven't yet.
Yeah, Rodgers again, similar. Kind of reminds me FPL wise to someone like Odegaard. Unbelievable talent, unbelievable player, but maybe will play the pass that is the assist. The pass, the assist, the assister. I still think Rodgers could get plenty of attacking returns this season. I think owners have been unlucky in the first 3 game weeks not to get anything. Watkins has missed a couple of big chances set up by Rodgers, etc. So I still firmly believe at 5.1 million that he is one of the best enablers in the game, and very likely that he comes in as part of my kind of reshuffle.
Okay. What we'll do now is we'll have a look at your game week 4 side as it is at the moment. So this is pre any transfers. So if you could just sort of go through that, and also sort of, especially after our chat that we've just had, what your sort of current thinking was. If it was deadline day today, what 3 moves would you be leaning towards?
Thank God it's not deadline day today because I'm more confused after the video now. So at the moment, no transfers made. Henderson in goal against Palace and Munoz for the double up. So hopefully it actually works this time. Gabriel's away to Tottenham. Konsa home to Everton. Midfield of Saka, Jota, Bruno and Eze. Captain Haaland against Brentford. Joe Pedro home to Ipswich and Isak away to Wolves. So I really like my front 3 for this. Don't need to touch that. On the bench, Porro for sub against Arsenal. Harwood Bellis and Sangari. So if the deadline was in 5 minutes, I think priority is Salah. To do so, out go Gabriel, Saka, Bruno. In comes Salah, Rodgers and Robertson, because I wouldn't be able to afford Trent. The alternative is Trent comes in for Gabriel. I don't get Salah. Palmer comes in for Saka, and then I would have a little bit more cash for a Bruno replacement. So it might not have to be Rodgers. It could be a Minte or something like that. And I would need to check exactly how much cash I would have. Maybe even enough for a Mitoma type, because Palmer's obviously significantly cheaper than Mo Salah. So there's there's a lot happening, and that's before anyone's played an international game, before anyone's picked up an injury. So I'm just going to do nothing. And as always, especially during the international break, I won't be making any moves until Friday week. And I won't rule out the wild card, because if a couple of things went wrong for me during the international break in terms of injuries, it might push me towards a wild card. So, but yeah, I think Salah, Rodgers, Robertson makes the most sense for my team.
Yeah, yeah, good move. So what we do, we'll be back next week to see if those plans have changed as well. We'll discuss some other issues as well. So very midfield, defender focused. So we might look at attackers next week, perhaps with an eye on that potential game week 6 wildcard. But yeah, we'll have plenty to chat about next week as we get towards that deadline, and we'll have a bit more information from the internationals as well. But Mark, thanks so much for joining me.
Cheers, Joe. Always a good discussion.
Good luck using the magical 3 free transfers that are new to this season. Good luck. Take care. See you next week.
Bye bye.